Hey guys, so I have 4 juice reviews for you today, and they're from this relatively new American-based company called Carpe Diem Vapor. Now the 4 juices that I have are Nom Nom, Slevin, Puffy Clouds, and Strawberry Nom Nom. Now, if I'm not wrong, these juices are of a 50-50 PG-VG ratio, mine of 12 milligrams. When you first receive the package, the bottles will actually come cellophane wrapped, like on the top, so you pretty much know that your juices have not been tampered with before they actually arrive at your doorstep. Now, when I first opened up my package, it also came with this voltage resistance wattage chart, which I think is actually fairly useful, especially if you're a newbie vapor who has just started out vaping. Now, for those of you who are keen, you can pick one of these guys up at carpediemvapor.com, which is spelled as CarpediemVapor.com, and they go for $7.99 for a 15 ml, $13.98 for a 30 ml, and $26.99 for a 60 ml bottle. So really competitively priced in my opinion. And 15, 30, and 60 ml bottles actually come in this cobalt blue glass bottle, and the labels are actually this really nice silver color, which I like silver a lot. Anywho, let's first start off with Puffy Clouds. Now, Puffy Clouds is described on the website as it incorporates a very refreshing cool inhale with a slight fruity exhale. So I currently have mine in my Pure with a 0.8 ohms coil and 3.5 straw mesh. So here it goes. To get great clouds off this e-liquid. Now I tried this juice on a high wattage device like my Genesis atomizer, and on a low wattage setup in which I dripped into a 510 dripping atomizer from about 7 watts to 10 watts. Then a high wattage device, I had a light menthol on the inhale. Now it is admittedly pretty tough to identify the fruit notes in the exhale, as I found the flavors to actually be melded together really well, so it kind of forms this one dominant vape on the exhale. Took me quite some time to actually try to identify this, and I'm guessing there's perhaps a melon in this. Can't quite identify which melon it is, with the same strawberry note that I was getting in Strawberry Nom Nom as well. And I'm guessing there might be a bit of apples in it. To me, after vaping this for quite some time, strange but true, I got a slight tobacco earthiness from it as well. Ambiguous for sure, but in my opinion, Puffy Clouds is definitely a refreshing vape nonetheless, as right underneath all these layerings of fruit notes, etc., was a nice menthol note. And I like this menthol note in that it's not overpowering, and it actually helped to balance out the overall tartness of the different fruits with this nice refreshing touch of menthol in itself. On a low wattage setup, pretty much the same flavor profile as that of a high wattage setup, except to me the menthol actually came out much stronger, while the overall fruitiness of the e-juice in itself came out much sweeter in my opinion. The throat hit of this e-liquid is pretty strong. It gave this great kick at the back of the throat, however there was no harshness while I was vaping it. So next up is Nom Nom. Now for the other 3 juices, I actually will be doing them on dripping atomizers, as I did try them on Genesis atomizers. However, I found them to actually vape best from about off a silica or cotton-based atomizer under 17 watts. So I'll just be mainly focusing on the flavors that I was getting off this particular setup that I was using to test the juices. So anyhow, Nom Nom is described as tons of subtle flavor, hints of brown sugar, cinnamon, cream, and more. So I currently have mine in my Atomic with a 1 ohm coil and cotton yarn. So here goes. So to get great clouds once again. Now on this device that I'm using that's currently at about like 17 watts, 16 watts or so, I add light brown sugar on the inhale, which comes out even more on the exhale. There is a slight creaminess to it as I seem to be getting like a vanilla kind of note right at the end of the vape to like round off the overall experience. I found that this cinnamon note that I was getting in this juice is not that of like a red hot spicy cinnamon instead, but it was actually more like a cinnamon that you find in like a dessert, for example, like a apple crumble. There's like some cinnamon in it. And this cinnamon I found actually complements the brown sugar in itself quite a fair bit. Now, if you're a new vapor, I think you'll like this juice as the flavor of it is really strong and really sweet. But if you are a vapor who has been vaping for quite some time, like for me personally, I've been vaping for more than 2.5 years, I actually found this juice to be too sweet, in which I could only take about like 2 or 3 drags of my atomic before I found it to be way too sweet for my liking. So great for someone who's a new vapor, perhaps not quite for someone who has been vaping for a while. Unless you like really sweet vapes, then yeah, definitely check this out. The throat hit of this juice is like that of Puffy Clouds, in which it's really strong, but there's no harshness when you're vaping it. So next up is Strawberry Nom Nom, which is described on the website as Nom Nom with hints of strawberry and more. Now I currently have mine in my Trident with, once again, a 1 ohm coil and cotton ham, so here goes. So get tons of vapor once again. Now on this setup, I had sweetness on the inhale with a strong strawberry flavor like coming out right at the start of the exhale. This later blends into like the same like cinnamon brown sugar flavor that I was getting from Nom Nom. I like the cinnamon and brown sugar like experience in this one a bit more than I like that from Nom Nom, as it was not as overpowering and not as sweet as the overall flavor that I was getting from Nom Nom. And personally, like, I think I know what flavoring they use for the strawberry in this, in Strawberry Nom Nom at least, but I'm not going to give it away. But just personally, if they were to switch this strawberry flavor in Strawberry Nom Nom to something that's a bit more tart and like fruity, I think it would actually help to like balance out the overall like flavor of strawberry and the brown sugars and cinnamon and cream a bit more. As right now the strawberry flavor, in my opinion, comes off a bit artificial and a bit too perfumey for my liking. So yeah, great flavor in terms of like the overall intensity of Nom Nom, like the brown sugar and cinnamon, but the strawberry kind of is just like not quite working well with the overall juice, my opinion at least. Throat hit of this e-liquid is like the other two e-liquids, in which it hits hard, but then there's like no harshness when you're vaping it. So anywho, next up is Slevin. Now Slevin is described on the website as a nice warm piece of apple cobbler with a scoop of ice cream. So pretty much cinnamon apples, ice cream and more. So I currently have mine in my iGo L with a 1 ohm setup and cotton. So here goes. To get great clouds once again. Now on this particular setup, I had sweetness on the inhale, while on the exhale it's getting like lots and lots of like pie crust on the exhale. The apple note in this one is like that of green apples, and it comes off like in the mid of the exhale towards the end of the exhale. This apple note, however, is, while it's there, it's rather subtle, so you don't quite expect to get like a really strong like apple cobbler vape once you're getting it. You get a lot of like the pie crust. It's a really good pie crust in my opinion. Now, I could not quite get like the vanilla in this vape, And when I did, it was like right at the end of the exhale, and I only kind of like tasted it if I were to do a slow exhale, like not quite my regular vape, but like much slower than that. This vanilla, in my opinion, if you were to like label this juice as kind of like a apple pie a la mode, in fact, I personally would have liked to have seen a bit more vanilla in this. While it's kind of that, if you were to like do a slow exhale, it would have been a bit nicer to like actually see a bit more vanilla coming out, especially right towards the end of the vape in order to like round off the overall vape experience of this. Definitely not a bad vape. Like, I like the taste of this guy a lot, and in fact I think Slevin is my favorite out of the entire bunch. But to me, I would have perhaps liked to have seen just a bit more vanilla, especially since it was described to be kind of like an apple pie a la mode kind of like flavor. Now for these three e-liquids, if you're to vape them at a lower wattage, let's say like 12 watts and below, from my experience at least, I found them to be like coming out just a tad bit more sweeter in terms of like the overall like vape experience, especially on the XL. So yeah, overall, personally I like Carpe Diem. Like, for the price that you're paying, in my opinion, I think it's definitely really worth it, as you get a good juice that comes in like a premium bottle packaging, like glass bottles and all, but not for like a premium bottle price, but more like a middle of the road kind of like price range at like roughly $14 for a 30 ml. Really good pricing in my opinion, that I personally think can't quite be beaten by a lot of like juice companies that are out there. As the moment you use glass bottles, the prices of the juice would definitely increase. One thing to note though is that I did try using all these juices in my typical like Genesis atomizer setups. I had more than like 21, 22 watts and above, and that was when I found their dessert vapes, Nom Nom, Strawberry Nom Nom, and Slevin, to actually be really muted. So do take note of that, especially if you're a mass user who vapes at really high wattages. You might not quite experience the same flavor profile that I mentioned in the three drippers, as when I did vape them on my Genesis atomizers, I could not quite get much of a flavor when I was doing the exhale and when I was like actually trying to taste the juice in itself. But yeah, great showing overall for the price. Definitely check it out if you guys are keen. And yeah, I guess that's all I have for you guys today. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you guys are keen. Check out Carpe Diem Vapor, and yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next video. Peace.